Well, I was sitting here and I was thinking about why every time I do my discussions and stuff like that, it's always centered around the government, right? Politics, law enforcement, and things of that nature. And I kept trying to figure out, I wonder why. Even without trying to, I always end up going that way. It's always centered around government, police officers, law enforcement, politicians, lawyers, judges, and things of that nature. Not just because I'm in political science, uh, but because there's like a message regarding that. And the reason why that continuously keep happening is because, like in life, everyone has duties and responsibilities. Everyone has authority depending on what they have been given. If you're a teacher, you have authority within the confines of whatever is permissible for educators. If you are a politician, you have authority for X, Y, and Z. If you are a law enforcement, you have authority for X, Y, and Z. And what I notice and what I see, right, is that everybody has the authority to do what they are permitted to do. But government is very important regarding their actions, right? Because they have the authority to put people in jail. They have the authority to kill people. They have the authority to punish people, right? Disciplinary action. They have the authority to do all of these things. I guess according to how they see fit, right? And that is what I noticed too. I noticed because, why do you say this? When going to the Bible, many of those leaders that were in position of authority, when they were given ultimatums and things like that by God, they were given choices like you can go through famine, starvation, diseases, X, Y, and Z, and so on, so on, so on, so, and it goes on in the list. But I don't want to go too much into that. I say that the government, right, has these authorities to punish people according to what they feel is necessary to maintain order, right? But what I have found is that a lot of people that are in these positions of authority are oftentimes manipulated and deceived into punishing and killing the wrong individuals, right? That's why, that's one of the reasons why I believe that God has given me a heart of understanding to be able to see how things are taking place. And what I have seen is that there are people in positions of authority that are making decisions, right? Not based on God leading them, but based on the devil leading them, and they are killing and punishing the wrong individuals. Why do I say that? I say that because I am in a situation where I am not a part of a system, yet I still find myself being punished as if I were in that system, as if I had done something wrong, right? And we could say that maybe it's because I am a part of the system, even without actually being a part of the system, because I am considered to be a citizen, right? And whatever the nation goes through, I too must go through. Much like the people that were sent into exile in Babylon or whatever it was, whatever was going on in that area, they too had to be a part of what was going on in that area. And so the same thing goes for me, is that whatever situation that I am in, I am still a part of the system without actually being a part of the system, which means that whatever other people suffer, I too must suffer. But if other people are not suffering, right, and they are given benefits and freedoms and rewards, okay, because as is considered to be perks, right, when they break the law, then it is now considered to be, what's the word that I'm looking for? It is now considered to be improper and unlawful, right? Because you are allowing people who are breaking the law to get rewards, benefits, and things of that nature. And the ones that are not breaking the law, the ones that are trying to do right, are the ones that's actually suffering because they're not actually a part of the system and do not get the benefit package that comes along with being a part of that system, right? And that's where things get real tricky when it comes to spirituality versus physical, right? Because in God's mind is that if everyone has to go through famine, disease, and X, Y, and Z, then there are no exceptions There is no reward package. There is no benefits, right? There is simply, we all must do this in order to have this outcome. For example, we all must fast in order for this event not to take place. We all must experience famine and disease in order for this not to take place. This is universal according to whatever nation that you are in. But if it is not universal and you guys are not stating that everyone has to go through this, right? Certain people that have chosen to become a part of the system is excluded from being able to go through suffering, right? Even though they're the ones that break the law. Then now there is an imbalance, right? There is injustice that is taking place because the scale is not being weighed properly. You see what I mean? So I'm trying to point out, when it comes to me being a part of this system, whatever, it would make sense that, hey, you have to go through this because everyone is going through this, right? We are all considered to be one. That part makes sense. But the part that, hey, you are the only one that's going through this because you refuse to be a part of our system, right? Even though you're not the one that's breaking the law, even though you're not the one that's violating, you are the one that's suffering, and everybody else get to get the benefit package and the rewards, right? Because they have chosen to be a part of that system, even though they're the ones that break the law. Now the scale is imbalanced. So a lot of the times when I'm writing, even though I do my best not to focus on a particular sect or a particular organization, for some reason I find myself always going to a particular sect or organization, even against my will when I don't want to, which means that this is very important, which means that there is a focus that is taking place according to God, right? Judges, lawyers, politicians, law enforcement, they all have the authority to discipline people, to invoke punishment. Politicians don't have a right to kill, but they have the ability to contribute to law enforcement, killing whomever they feel that they need to kill in the moment that they need to kill, right? Lawyers also have an influence in this say-so as well. Judges have an influence in this say-so as well. Judges have the authority to kill. When they render their verdict, if somebody goes to court, they can say this person can be executed, right? So when someone in the church says that it is permissible for people to kill, I focus on those that have been given positions, right? And their duties and responsibility that God claims has the authority, right? President, vice president, all of these positions, 3 branches, all of those people contribute to this, even though they may not have the physical authority to be able to do it. The only people that really have the physical authority to be able to murder are police officers and judges. Because once you go to court, depending on what you do, is if it's a capital offense, then they would say they will pass judgment and say you must be executed for X, Y, and Z, right? They have the authority to do so. If there is someone that is in the church, if the church, right? The church, people in the church have an influence in this, right? When it comes to the Pope and the different popes and things of that nature, they have an influence in this as well, because they are supposed to be considered to be mouthpieces of God, to make sure that there is justice being served according to God and not according to man, right? But however, there are some people that try to get people to think that it is okay to murder. They misunderstand the information that is given to them, and they think that they can take the law into their own hands and they will be punished because of it. I'm doing the best that I can to make sure I leave myself out of this situation, because I like to use myself as an example in the things that I see people trying to do in my life. But I'm not going to do that in this situation. So what is taking place is that people that are in positions of authority are killing the wrong people and punishing the wrong people. They are being manipulated into doing these things. And they don't know who's the one that's manipulating them. So according to God, that is considered to be injustice, imbalance. You are weighing the scales incorrectly. I wanted to make sure that I shared that just because you are in the church does not mean that you have the right to punish whomever at will, right? You must look at all variations. You must look at all facts, because many people are deceived and manipulated into doing things, and they have no clue what's actually going on. And it has cost innocent people their lives. And there are some people that know exactly what they are doing, and they want to kill innocent people because they will not conform to whatever it is that they are trying to disperse into the world. There are some people that have positions of authority that were not supposed to be there. That's why God has been trying to not trying to, but that's why there are people being placed in certain situations that may not actually believe in God, right? But they have a moral compass. That's also a scripture in the Bible as well, where God was talking about this in Corinthians, or Paul was talking about it in Corinthians, and he was saying that some people go against their conscience, and some people who have never met God still have a purer conscience than those that have actually known God's doctrine. It is the consciousness, right? The moral compass that God has given us innately, whether or not we believe in him or not. It is in us. So God takes people to the scripture of the Good Samaritan, because a lot of the times, the ones that show you more mercy will be the ones that actually don't even believe in God at all. They have a moral compass. And then there are some people that are in the churches, right, that God will use because they are actually saved and have salvation, and they have a moral compass, and they know what must be done according to God. This is why God tells you not to focus too much, right, on trying to be in certain sects and organizations. When I say that I'm not a person that belongs to a particular sect, what I am saying is that no matter the ministry that God has given me, I don't go seeking friends and relationships based on that ministry. I let God be the one to choose the people that belong in my life based on what he sees going on in their life and the type of heart that they have. A lot of people have died for no reason because people lack knowledge, they lack self-control, they're emotional, they are filled with spirits that lead them to think certain things, and they destroy the lives of others because of it. And then they manipulate those around them so that they could help to contribute to whatever it is that they are trying to do when they are sabotaging an individual. And it was the lack of knowledge that allowed this to be able to take place thus far. You see, the world is very big. And there are people that are in positions of authority that's supposed to maintain order from state to state. But it is difficult for them to maintain order because one thing that keeps standing out is that there is far less government officials, authorities, and things of that nature as opposed to actual civilians. There's no way for them to actually know everything that is going on. They can't look into the lives of every specific individual on this earth to be able to tell what is going on. By the grace of God, I just happen to be one of the few where my life was just on display for everyone. Whether they choose to acknowledge it or not, it does not matter. It was on display for everyone, right? For people to be able to see what is truly going on in certain situations and in certain states. I am one of the few individuals, I'm one of the many individuals that this has happened to, where people have taken the law into their own hands. People have chosen to do what they want to do because people have given them the right or authority to do so. But they have taken it to a whole nother level. So people have been dying for absolutely no reason. And there has been no one that has been able to do anything about it because they did not know what was going on. They had no clue this was taking place in their life. Which is why God is so focused on the government, because the government is supposed to be the one that maintains order. And if ever the government is not able to maintain order, then there is a restructuring that must take place to get their attention and to remove them because they are not doing what they have been put in position to do. You have a lot of broken people in this world. You have a lot of selfish people in this world. You have a lot of misguided people in this world, a lot of understood people in this world, a lot of people that are lacking information and knowledge. And what has been given to them has been given to them whatever they feel that they know, right? It has been distorted. That leads them to do the things that they do to other people because they are broken and they don't know that they are broken. There are people in this world who don't believe in God and still won't do the things that I see people do. There are people in this world that do believe in God and will do the things that I see people do, and then vice versa. Because there are a lot of people that are hurting in this world. So I say all of this to say, when we talk about, we might want to be careful of the things that we share, right? Because what I have been noticing is that people have been using me as a scapegoat. They try to make it look like there is a moral compass to try to save their life based on the stuff that they have been doing that they knew was wrong. So I stopped sharing it. But then when I saw an opportunity for somebody brought something up, I wanted to make sure I go over it to let it be known that there are people in this world that does have the authority to kill. They have the authority to punish how they see fit. They have the authority to discipline how they see fit. But the problem comes is that when those people can no longer determine or tell who needs to be disciplined and who needs to be killed or X, Y, and Z and who needs to be X, Y, and Z. You see what I mean? When they can no longer tell, that's where the issue comes in, where they end up being used to hurt and harm the wrong individuals. Which is why God is making it very clear that people need to focus more on knowledge, understanding his doctrine. Which is why he makes it very clear you need to have the spirit of truth, because there will be times when you will be in situations where you won't really know who to believe or where to go, but the spirit of truth will lead you in the right direction and guide you to make sure that you don't harm, discipline, punish, or kill the wrong individual. But people don't believe in him. They just do whatever it is they feel that is right. And they don't realize how a lot of the times it's actually wrong. And it has cost people their life. People have been put in jail for no reason. People have been killed for no reason. People have been starving for no reason. So, I wanted to make sure I make that clear because people are trying to, well, not people, but what the devil wanted to do is that I am a stickler for duties and responsibilities, because I know when you know your duties and responsibilities, you know what you are able to do. There was a police officer that got on camera, and he said flat-foot on camera, he said, we ran him over with our vehicle. And you want to know why he was so bold to be able to say that? He was bold to be able to say that because he knew his duties and responsibilities. He knew that if there was ever such an imminent threat, you use whatever is at your disposal to neutralize the threat. Point blank, period. But people can only be that bold when they know their duties and their responsibilities. A politician would be able to do the same thing. A judge would be able to say, I ordered him to be executed. I have the right to do so because I know my duties and responsibilities. And I know that for a fact this person is guilty and is deserving of execution. I ordered an entire nation to be wiped out by natural disasters because I have seen what they have been doing, X, Y, and Z. It is not contributing to the well-being of this nation or this country or whatever it is. And we have decided as a collective that this is how we have chosen to punish them until they learn their lesson. X, Y, and Z. My Father, Jesus Christ, has been teaching me about duties and responsibilities, and he makes it very clear that it's very important for you to know your duties and responsibilities when you are in a position, any position, whether you're a teacher, whether you are an engineer, whether you are in the military, a police officer, politician. I don't know many jobs. So if I'm saying the same jobs, it's because I don't really know all the jobs that's out there. Whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, when you know your duties and responsibilities, you know your rights and what you are able to do under those duties and responsibilities, and you are confident in your capabilities. That's why God has made it so very, very important for me to focus on duties and responsibilities. And I've been like that since I've been in the military, towards my latter years. I kept wondering, why am I always so focused on learning about duties and responsibilities? I hated reading, yet all I did was read. And I always learned everybody's duties and responsibilities, and I kept trying to figure out why. Well, it came in handy when I needed to use those duties and responsibilities and knowing who to talk to for a little bit, or how to be able to create jobs and what I could do in X, Y, and Z. It came in handy. And I was always confident because I knew the duties and responsibilities not only of my job, but of everyone else's. So the same thing goes for people. If you are the Pope, if you are somebody who's seen as a priest or a religious figure, a mouthpiece for God, it is important for you to know your duties and responsibilities because you are influential in the world, depending on the hierarchy. Same thing goes for a political system. The president, executive branch, Congress, all those people, it's good to know their duties and responsibility because it would matter when they influence or when they make a decision regarding someone or whatever it is that's taking place. And then there's a hierarchy as well. All people are supposed to be led by God. However, There are people in this world that don't believe in God. They're still led by God. They just don't know that they're being led by God. I could go deeper into it, but I'm going to leave it at that. But the point I'm trying to make is that people are being killed all the time for no reason and because they're not paying attention. People are being punished for absolutely no reason. And nobody's doing anything about it.